Hey, welcome back to Logical Republican. Thanks for stopping in today. Hope you had a great weekend. Remember, if you like what you see, like what you hear, hit the like button, please. The subscribe button is there as well. Share it with somebody you agree with. Share it with somebody you disagree with to get a rise. And also, please check out my blog at logicalrepublican.com. Well, yesterday was opening day in the NFL season. And boy, was it crazy. Now, if you're like me, you saw what happened in Miami. All right. I am neither a Dolphins fan or a Jaguars fan. But yesterday I did watch the Dolphins Jacksonville Jaguars game. And before the game, as you probably are aware of by now, there was an incident. Okay. It was at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. And the Miami police stopped Tyreek Hill's car for allegedly speeding. Tyreek was speeding, allegedly, 1 block away from the Hard Rock Stadium. Now, if you've ever been to a stadium before a game, I don't care if it's 4 hours before a game, there is police presence, there are cones, people are directing traffic. It is essentially chaos. How can you speed in that situation before the game 1 block from the stadium? Okay, think about that. Take a beat. Think back to the last time you were at a stadium. Even when there was no game going on, maybe you were going there to get tickets. You can't speed. How fast was he going maybe? What? Maybe he was going 20 in a 15 zone? But you know what? He was probably driving his Bentley SUV. And the former high school football star, who's now a cop and is bitter at his life because he never developed into a Tyreek Hill, decided to show the $30 million wide receiver, who's the boss? I'm the boss because I'm wearing a badge. Get out of your Bentley SUV, bitch. Yeah, you were speeding. Oh, you said what? Oh, okay, now I'm going to cuff you and you're going to lay face down on the pavement. And I'm going to kneel on your back. Why? Because I'm a cop and I can do that. All of this happened in the shadow of the stadium. In the shadow of the stadium. Then one of his teammates, Calais Campbell, who is a big, big dude, tries to get in and maybe diffuse, calm down the situation a little bit. Then guess what? Calais Campbell was himself cuffed. And they cited him for interfering with something or another. It's something absolutely bogus. Now, think about this. The only reason those cops are even on the detail and collecting the overtime pay that comes with stadium duty are those same players that they were putting cuffs on. The only reason they're there is because there's a game. Okay? They're getting their overtime pay because there's a game. Why in the hell are you trying to pick a fight with players? Now, don't get me wrong here. I am a supporter of law enforcement in most cases. Situations like this are the reasons why I'm glad there are body cameras and that citizens actually video these incidents. Because otherwise, it's rich, entitled a-hole athlete with, an attitude versus the righteous Dudley Do-Right police officer who was sworn to protect and serve. Okay, so Tyreek took the high road before the game and after the game. Okay, he didn't pull the race card, which a lot of people would have done. And it does appear that some of the cops on the scene were black, but it does make you wonder about driving while black. Okay, I am not a Colin Kaepernick person. I am not a Neil person. I am not anything like that. But in situations like that, DWB, driving while black, really does matter, I think, in a situation like this. Or it can matter depending on where you are. Should it matter in a place like Miami, where it's there's a little bit of everything? It shouldn't. But what if this happened on a random street, on a random neighborhood? Cop pulls over a guy. He asks, "Why did you pull me over?" And then all of a sudden, maybe the guy the cop says he has an attitude, and oh, well, maybe it's a black guy driving a luxury car, and then he gets cuffed and cited, or maybe even worse. He gets arrested for doing what exactly? His word versus the cop. Cop wins. Yes, that is the way it works. Similar incident happened not too long ago. Another incident that I'm sure you are very familiar with. Happened in August. It happened to PGA golfer, the number one golfer in the whole frickin' world, Scottie Scheffler. Scottie was going to a golf tournament. He was driving a courtesy vehicle that said courtesy vehicle on it. He was in the parking lot of the event, of the venue. He was in the parking lot of a golf course. If you've ever driven in a parking lot golf course, you can't go very fast. But Super Cop tried to get him to do something, and apparently Scottie didn't hear him. So Cop then, quote unquote, attaches himself to the SUV. I don't know how you attach yourself to a Lexus, but apparently he did. Well, guess what? Scottie didn't do something that the cop wanted, and then decides to arrest him for allegedly violating traffic laws or something else. Then Scottie had his mugshots taken. He was arrested. He was put in a jail cell. The cops at the station knew who he was. Apparently, the other cop didn't know or just didn't care. Oh, but wait, there's more, as Ron Popeil used to say. The officer then was taken to the hospital after arresting him. Claimed injuries. He was thrown from the car violently. He ripped his clothes. And he was in stable condition. Never mind the idea of a huge payday from this scofflaw was in the back of his mind. Oh, but there's a problem. There was a problem for this cop. The news agencies, specifically ESPN, was there. Why? Because ESPN was broadcasting the golf tournament. The golf tournament. The reason why the cops were there in the first time, the Louisville cops collecting overtime pay, was because there was a really, really big, important golf tournament there that Scottie Scheffler was playing in. But then the news agencies, they read the claim that the officer was violently thrown and his clothes were ripped to shreds and blah, blah, blah. He was in the hospital. And then the ESPN broadcaster who was there and others, they jumped into the fray. You know what they did? They called bullshit on the Louisville Police Department. And then the Louisville Police Department said, oops, they got this on film because it was the cop's word versus Scottie Scheffler. And guess what? The cop's body cam mysteriously wasn't working, or the video feed got lost. So if there was no ESPN there, guess what? Scottie Scheffler would have been the convicted whatever because it was the cop's word versus his, and he would have been probably out a few $1 million because the cop's clothes were torn to shreds. But because ESPN was there and other people were there with their camera phones and they got the whole thing on video because, well, it was Scottie Scheffler, the Louisville PD and the police chief went on a damage control backpedaling exercise, and they said they would review the incident. Then the officer was placed on administrative leave. What exactly that means, I don't know. Haven't heard anything since because it was probably swept under the rug. But the officer in the Tyreek Hill incident was also placed on administrative leave, and an investigation opened, so said the police chief. But likely, this is only because it's Tyreek Hill. If the guy's name was Terrence Hill, let's say a CPA from Pembroke Pines, he'd be looking for a lawyer and sweating out a court date right now. And Tyreek Hill did make that statement. What if it wasn't Tyreek Hill? What if it was Terrence Hill? Something needs to be done about these rogue cops. Granted, there are athletes and people in general who do their best to agitate officers. And most officers do have some thick skin. I agree with that. Most officers do an honest job, and they're there to protect us. They do their best to be professional. But there should be rules, in my humble opinion, that no vehicular moving violations or arrests should be valid without video evidence via either a body cam or some other type of video media. Because otherwise, it is the cop's word versus mine, and I will always lose. Always. The cop will always be right because he is a trained, sworn professional. But seeing Tyreek Hill lying face down with traffic going by was hopefully the final moment, in my humble opinion, of this police officer on the police force. And for all the other officers involved that did nothing to stop it. Drew Rosenhaus is Tyreek Hill's agent. I don't know if Drew Rosenhaus was there. I had heard that there was a report that he was in the car, but then from all the reports, it seemed like he was not actually in Tyreek Hill's car. But Drew Rosenhaus is a bulldog of an agent, if you're familiar at all with him and some of his antics that he has pulled for his players. So Tyreek Hill's agent and then Calais Campbell's attorneys should be pushing the envelope here. They should sue the living hell out of the Miami-Dade police force for this. And then, when they get all those millions of dollars, take that money and do the right thing by putting all of that money into youth programs in Miami or something like that to help kids either A, get off the street, stay off the street, stay in school, get off drugs, whatever. In this situation, I am with NWA. F the police in Miami, because this just ain't right. Anyhow, hope you like what you hear, like what you see. If you do, hit the like button, comment on this if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Subscribe, because I'm trying to rattle the cage on both sides here. And I hope to see you soon. See ya.